All right. You're never going to get rid of me. I figured I might as well be a little selfish today and take the whole gig. So I kicked Tommy out. Do we have anyone here who works for public safety, people who are nurses or firemen or police? Do we have anybody here? We have one. Do we have any more? We have two here. Let's just give you guys a round of applause. Because when this tragic event happened, it was these kind of people that saved lives and these kind of people that helped that situation be better. So I just want to thank you guys for that, seeing as it's 9/11. While I was at it, I figured I might as well complete the role of Tommy, by wearing this cool shirt. Because Tommy, if you guys haven't seen Tommy before, you'll never not see him basically in a shirt that says something cool like this. So I figured I might as well complete the look if I'm going to do this. But today we're going to be talking about something that we all love, worry, which is a really fun topic to discuss. We're going to be talking about what worry is. We're going to talk about how it affects our lives. And the most fun part that I like to talk about is how to live more and worry less. So, are we crunching here? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Because worry sucks, right? Worry is not very fun. So today we're going to be talking about the thing that not a lot of people like to talk about. And here's how I think of worry. Now, if you ever meet my wife, Kelsey, she'll say that Josh doesn't worry about anything, because I'm one of those guys that she'll say, hey, I'm kind of worried about this, and I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I just keep walking, like nothing's going to be wrong. But I do worry. Everybody worries. And so I kind of think of worry as, that one family member or friend that we all have that we don't see a lot, but you see them like once a year when it's like that family reunion they feel obligated to go to. And then you go to the family reunion or the get-together, and nobody wants to talk to them because they're kind of awkward. Everyone tries to just avoid them. Do you guys have a family member like that? Say yes. Yes. Are they sitting next to you right now? Okay. I won't have you answer that. But that's kind of how I view worry, because it's like, just like we all have that friend or that relative or someone who shows up and it's like, you try not to make eye contact because then you're like, oh crap, they caught me. Now I have to have a conversation. I don't really want to talk to them. You know what I mean? We all have that family member or friend. And so worry is kind of the same way. We try to avoid it. We try to not think about, we think about it because that's what worry is, right? But we try to not think of solving it or try to minimize it. We just go with it, we take the hit, and we just have a terrible time doing it. So we're going to talk about worry today. But I want to start by defining what worry is, because I was like, okay, I understand, I have an idea of what it is, but let's find out what Google has to say, because Mother Google knows all. So here's the definition of worry. To give way to anxiety or unease, allow one's mind to dwell on difficulty or troubles. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Now, what are the closest 5 words? Is this me crunching here? I'm not going to stop walking, though, unfortunately. So I was like, what are the next 5 words that Google would show me that are like worry? And here's what we had. Agonize, be anxious, overthink, lose sleep, torment oneself. The last one got me. I'm like, that's crazy. So worry, one of the 5 closest words in the dictionary to worry is to torment oneself. That's crazy. We torment our minds with worry. We have anxiety. We overthink things. And the worst one of all of these is we lose sleep, right? I'm all about sleep. So I can basically sleep anywhere, but sometimes when you're worrying, you do lose sleep. So these are the 5 closest things. Oh, man, this is pretty bad. Here's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to walk around a lot. I might just hop to this, Bruce, and just hold the mic, if that's okay. Because I don't want it to be crunching the whole time. Okay, cool. Check. Okay, so these are the closest things to worry. So we're going to talk about it because it's often treated kind of like a little thing. No one really thinks about it. We just worry, and we don't think about it. And so I want to talk about it because it's not a little thing, right? It's not something that just like Hannah deals with, right? Only Hannah worries in her life, or only Judy worries in her life, or Stephen worries in his life. It's not like, only them 3 do it, and not everyone does it. Everybody does it. We all have some level of worry that match some of these similar definitions right here. And when I say all, it does include males. So, because men are like, Josh, I'm a man. I'm looking at my dictionary, worry's not in here. All I have in the W's are work and watch TV. I mean, worry's not even in here. And so this does apply to guys, although guys treat it a little bit differently. Guys just kind of shrug it off and suck it up. That's kind of how we roll. But everybody deals with it. So if we have to deal with it, just like that family or friend that no one likes to talk to or make eye contact with because then you get stuck in a conversation, we might as well discuss it and try to worry less because we're not going to 100% get rid of it. If you do, good, I mean, that's pretty impressive, but the truth is no one will. So we might as well worry less so we can live more, live to who we're called to be, what we're called to do, where we're called to go. And so these are what I found with worry, which is kind of interesting. But when I think about worry, here's the problem with it. When you're worrying so much about something, a circumstance, something happens in life, the car broke down, I have a relationship issue, finance issue, job issue, whatever, a kid jumped off the swing and broke 2 arms issue, we start to worry. And so when you do that and when you dwell on it and you don't try to avoid it, what happens is it holds you back from your full potential. And it holds you back from who you're called to be, where you're called to go, what you're called to do. But the biggest thing of all of these, and when I think of worry, is ultimately worry sucks, right? So, and it sucks the life out of you. I remember two months ago, it was in June. Maybe that's 3 months ago. I can't get my numbers straight here today. It was in June, and if you guys don't know, I own a business called Flight Media. Kelsey and I do, and it's a digital marketing and design agency. And so we were working with a customer from Nashville, and I had the worst day of my business career ever. It was the worst day ever with this nasty, nasty client over nothing. And I would say worst day of my life, but that's pretty extensive, and I'm sure there's another day that's pretty bad. But it was one of the worst days I've ever had in my life. It got to the point where we had a call in the morning, and it was supposed to be a 30-minute call, and it turned into 7.5 hours of hopping on the phones with attorneys, and it was just an absolute mess over nothing. And it was the most stressful day I would say I've had in my life. Now, unfortunately, the wedding day was not that stressful to me. Maybe Kelsey, but not me, because, I just showed up. But it was the most stressful day, one of the most stressful days of my life, because I've never had to deal with this, right? So I'm stressing all day long. Completely drains you. How have you guys ever had a situation in life, whether it's finance or relationships or jobs, careers, the house issues? Have you ever had that to where it's like you just literally can't sleep and it just sucks the life out of you all day knowing that it's sitting at home when you get there? Right? We've all had that. So that's exactly what happened. 30-minute meeting, 7.5-hour meeting. It took my whole day. All my other meetings were gone. All my productivity out the door. And if you have ever met me, I'm like a productivity freak. Like I have to get everything done on my to-do list. If I don't, it's the worst day ever. So when you get sucked into a 7.5-hour meeting and it's just like you got attorneys involved and all this terrible stuff that you never want to do, it becomes very stressful. You start getting anxiety. What happens if they come at us for something that never really happened because that's what they were doing, and I lose a business, or I have to lay people off, or someone loses their job, or it affects our brand and our reputation and we can't get customers because of it. All these thoughts, all these what ifs start to pop in your mind, right? So this happened, and then I go home, and I talked to Kelsey. I kind of took a little bit of it out on Kelsey, which was a bad thing, but we just sat there, and I'm like, you know what? We just need to pray about this. And so I was just like, laid in bed, I'm like, God, you know what the heck just happened, and this has been the worst day ever. So how can we clean this up? What do I need to do? What do I need to say? Bring about the situations. Give me the cards to play, the puzzle pieces to put together so that these people are never in our lives or our team's lives, because they were ruthless to our team. They were mentally abusive to our employees. And so I was like, I don't know what's going to happen because there's no resolve by the end of the day. So I go in the next morning, and by the end of the next day, so within a 24-hour span, they were completely out of our lives. We did a few things for them, cut them out, and we have not talked to them since. So it's crazy. Yeah, give the Lord a hand. Give the Lord a hand. Yeah, thank you, God. Thank you. So that's what happened. I had worried all day, and then after that happened, the end of the next day, I'm like, this is really over. And why did I spend 7.5 hours stressed out of my mind when I should have just played the game and been in the meetings and stuff and just been like, whatever, by tomorrow, God's going to have this taken care of. Or by next week, God's going to have this taken care of. Why? I worried so much about it that I couldn't sleep. I was just like shaking out of frustration and this anxiety, which I don't get a lot of anxiety, but that day I did.
And so it was terrible. And I put my trust in God at the end of that day, and I said, you know what, God, I'm going to put this in your hands because there's obviously nothing I could do. I was at it for 7.5 hours. What can you do in 7.5 hours, And he just, done, right? And so when I think of things that happen in life, imagine if we just stopped worrying, or instead of looking at the negative what if, we just started thinking, oh, well, you know what? Maybe God's trying to show me something. Maybe this is going to happen. Maybe this isn't in my control, and God's going to help solve this. Maybe I would lead a less stressful life. And so at the end of that day, I looked back, and since then, I have really strived to do these 3 steps that we're going to talk about today. There are 3 steps that I have created. There are probably some more in there, but there are 3 steps that I want to talk about today. These are the 3 steps to worrying less and living more, living to do what you're called to do. We're not called to be stressed our whole lives and have anxiety and torment our minds and overthink things and lose sleep our whole lives. So these are the 3 steps that I was able to coin together. If you have any more, I would love to hear them, but this is what I have. Step number 1. When you start to worry, you need to literally catch yourself. Now, what do I mean by literally catch yourself? So, when the car breaks down and you're like, oh, it's going to be a $2,500 fix, and I only have like $2.13 in my accounts. How is this going to happen? And then it goes on this trail, right? It starts with, okay, I'm worried. My car broke down in the middle of the highway. If I don't get my car fixed, then I can't go to work. If I can't go to work, then I lose my job and I have no money. If I don't have money, I'm going to die in 7.9 days, and the kids are going to be homeless, right? We start to kind of go down the rabbit trail. So that's why I want you to literally catch yourself. Now, I have another cool story about catching myself, and I am pretty proud of this one. I do a good amount of speaking throughout the year, and I travel and speak on marketing and business and being a young entrepreneur and stuff. And August 3rd, I was in Oklahoma City. I was about to deliver a speech the next day, and I arrived. I Ubered to my hotel. I got there, and I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry. But I'm trying to eat clean. And when you're traveling, eating clean is like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but it's a needle you don't want to find. So you're I'm sitting there at my hotel. I get in there, and I'm like, oh, my goodness. I'm texting Kelsey. I'm like, oh, I need to go get something to eat. And I go, and I open up the doors, and I look down. And if you've ever been to Oklahoma, it's basically like Ohio, except only fields. So I look out this hotel, and I'm like, okay, got a big highway coming through. Oh, there's stuff way down there that is not in walking distance. I'd have to get an Uber or a taxi and go down there. Nothing down here. Golden Corral. And I see all of you guys prejudging me already, okay? So I look out the front, and I'm like, oh, I've been losing a few pounds in the last 2 weeks. I've been eating really clean. I've been eating organic. I've been working out. And there's this Golden Corral sitting there. And the first thing that goes in your mind when you look at Golden Corral, I'm just going to eat a steak and a salad, nothing else. But the problem with that is there's fondue, and there's a chef that can cook anything you want, and then there's, well, not anything, low-quality stuff. But then there's like a dessert buffet, and it's buffet style, so you're going to eat way more than you need to eat. So I looked down at this Golden Corral, I'm like, okay, Steven, by the way, my friend Steven's here today, and we're like workout buddies. We lift at 5 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday, and sometimes Saturdays. But I'm like, oh, what would Steven do? And I'm like, okay, you know what? He's going to hate me for it, whatever. I'm just going to eat a steak and like maybe a salad and a water. So I go there, and in Golden Corral, you get your drink and you kind of stand in line first, and you get your soda or whatever, and you grab your cup, you get your soda, and you stand in line. It's like the walk of shame, and you hope no one's driving by. You're just like, I hope my mom doesn't see me. This is really bad. When you stand in a line, and there was a line of people, so I got a Coke, which was step number 1 wrong. And I'm standing there, and I'm kind of in line, and there are like 5 people in front of me. I'm going down the line, kind of like, I don't know, you're in prison ready to get your food or something. And I'm going down, and I'm just like, I look down at my cup and look at the line and look down at my stomach, and I'm like, you know what? I need to literally stop doing this right now. So I went, and I dumped out my soda, went to the counter, handed her my empty cup, and I walked out. And an hour later, I was eating after I got a ride and found something to eat that was healthy. So that was the first step, and that was August 3rd. And since then, I've lost 14.6 pounds. Give me a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. I work hard, and this is not a baby. It's 6 months in. So you have to literally catch yourself, right? And that's what I mean when it comes to worry. You literally have to just be like, psh, psh, Knock yourself out of it. You're not going to be worried, right? You got to knock. You have to literally catch yourself. Because now, if I'm driving, which we're driving to the Outer Banks right after church for vacation, and when you drive, there's nothing to eat. You go to you go to a gas station, and there's nothing ever in there, right? So you go in there, and they're like, well, I guess these Snickers are for my macros. I need some fat, and there's like 3 grams of protein in this. So you eat it, right? So you have to literally catch yourself, and I'm going to have to do that again today. But if you get in a habit of it, you can lose 14.6 pounds of worry in 6 weeks. That's what I've learned. So we want to apply the same thing when it comes to worrying and anxiety and all this stuff that's all coined. It's all worry. It all leads back to you worrying. So we want to minimize that and literally catch yourself. When the car breaks down, be like, oh, well, maybe if my car was working, I would have run a red light because I was trying to get to work on time, and I would have been T-boned by a semi. What if we thought like that, right? What if we thought, okay, the kid broke his arm. Maybe that's to teach him that he never wants to jump off the jungle gym again, because maybe if it didn't happen, the next time he did it, he could have broken his neck. So what if you catch yourself when you start to worry like that? So step number 1 is to catch yourself. When you start to worry, here's what I want you to do. Just like that relative or friend, you're at like a get together, and rather than avoid them the whole time, because it's actually work to avoid someone, it's better to just get the conversation over with, right? Look them in the eyes, be like, oh, here we go. And then you have the conversation with John, or whatever his name is. You have the conversation, and then you don't have to talk to him until next year, right? Worry is the same way. If we can face worry the second it happens, if we can stop ourselves, look it in the eyes and say, nice to meet you, my name is Josh, and you're about to get schooled, right? What if we did that? What if we did that right away? Until next time, worry. Until next time. So if you can literally stop yourself, the second thing I want you to do, I want you to look it in the eyes. I want you to say, nice to meet you, you're going to lose. Because you know what we have? We have this cool card. Worry doesn't have any cards at all. We're just playing with ourselves. But we have one card, and it's called the Jesus card, okay? Just beep, place that right down. I don't have to worry because, you know, my God is greater than you, that's for sure, right? Because if God is for us, exactly. So when you stop yourself, that's the first thing I want you to do. I want you to literally catch yourself. When the car breaks down, be like, oh, the car broke down. Okay, let's think about this. Like, God, you're going to provide. You're going to make this happen. Right? So we want to literally catch ourselves, and then we want to play our Jesus card. This is what I call number 2. Now, some people could call it your Jesus card, and it's not a literal card. That would be neat. It's not a literal card, but it's when I say Jesus card, I mean saying, you know, God is bigger than you. It's going to work out. If you ask any of my friends, every time they come to me and ask me something, I always say that. That's like my one-liner, and Kelsey hates it. But that's what I always say. I don't always do it, okay, because I go beyond it. But when I catch myself, I say, you know, it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out, right? And so we're going to catch ourselves, and then we need to play our Jesus card. But if my wife Kelsey says it's not a Jesus card, hers is a little different, because she'll literally say this out loud, and she will say, not today, Satan. That's what she says. So I added a step 2.5. This is Kelsey's step. So when you catch yourself, I could just say, you know, it'll look different for everybody. I say, you know what? It's all going to work out. God's got this. I don't have this, because if I tried to get this, it's probably going to be screwed up. So why don't I just take this burden off of me and say, you know what? Like, God has created me for a reason, and he knows what I need to do in my life, and he has a will for me and a plan for me. So I'm not going to worry about this because it's all going to work out. And then Kelsey's just like, not today, Satan. I am Batman. I am Kelsey Coffy. So that's Kelsey's 2.5. And here's, I have 2 passages of scripture. Matthew 6:25. This is pretty awesome. And I didn't memorize it, so I have to look back. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? And he goes on to say in 27, and this is my favorite one, can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? Dang, God's just like, mic drop, you know? It's crazy. You know, there's no wiggle room here. it's kind of funny how God's speaking through us, speaking through the Bible to tell us this. Like, can anyone, it's kind of one of those rhetorical questions kind of a thing, to where it's like, son, can you add an hour to your life by worrying? No? That's what I thought. Now stop worrying, right? It's like, God, there's no wiggle room here. Now, God's telling us that there's no need to worry. You're not going to add an hour to your life by worrying, so why dwell on this difficulty or this trouble and torment your mind? And so that's step number 2. Play your Jesus card or say, not today, Satan. And you can say it in your head, you can say it out loud, or you can say, hey, it's all going to work out because my God is greater than this. And here's the third step. So what I want you to do is turn that frown upside down. I know it's rhyming. I like to rhyme a lot. And here's what I mean by that. There are 2 types. There's a 2-letter word that we subconsciously are conditioned to think about and say in our minds and ask ourselves, because that's how we've been raised, or that's how the world and humans really respond. And that 2-letter word, or 2-word sentence is what if, right? We all ask, what if? Well, what if the car breaks down? What if I can't pay to get it fixed? What if I can't get to work on time? What if I lose my job? What if it's what ifs? Now, there are 2 kinds of what ifs. There is a positive what if, and there is a negative what if. The negative what if is what I just said. You have all these sequence of events. And the positive what if is, what if this happened for a reason? What if I wasn't supposed to do this? Even though I wanted it as much as I wanted it, maybe that's not what God had in store for me. Or what if I didn't break down and I did get killed because I run this red light, right? There are negative what ifs and there are positive what ifs. And so what I mean by turn that frown upside down is, once you catch yourself and you just say, God can do this, then I want you to start thinking about the positive things that can come because of what you did, or because of the circumstance right then and there. So what if I was super uncomfortable? Oh, I'm uncomfortable to go do this. Well, what if you're supposed to be uncomfortable and you go do it, and then you can achieve the potential in what God wants you to do, but if you don't do it, you're not going to do what you're supposed to do. Now, that's a positive way of looking at it, right? So these are kind of the 3 steps. We need to literally catch ourselves. When you start to worry, stop, collaborate, and listen. Josh is back with the, okay. Ice, baby. Okay, I don't know if you guys got that, but picking up what I'm laying down. But we need to literally catch ourselves, and then we need to play our Jesus card. We need to say, not today, Satan. You know what? God is bigger than this. This is going to be okay. It's all going to work out. And here's why. Because maybe this wasn't supposed to happen, or maybe this was supposed to happen. And because this happened, God has something bigger for me, or maybe he wanted this to happen for a reason. So that's what I mean by turning the frown upside down. Last night, for some reason, I couldn't sleep. And if you ask anybody, I can fall asleep anywhere, anytime, on any surface. Whether it's roots or a stone or a bed of knives and nails, I can basically fall asleep anywhere. So last night, and it's kind of funny, like, I didn't realize how much the enemy tries to attack a pastor until this week. Because when you start doing God's work, and you're like giving a sermon and speaking like this, I think is a big honor and a privilege, first of all. And so when you're called to do something, and I'm called to do something like this, I didn't realize how much Satan tries to attack you throughout the whole week. It's crazy. Like when you start doing things like this, and here's what I mean. So the whole week, for some reason, there are all kinds of events that happened throughout the whole week that were unnormal, completely out of norm, way more than what would average happen in a week in a business or in our life. And they're just all reasons to worry. And so by the end of the week, I kind of started getting the fact that maybe God wanted me to experience what I'm trying to tell you guys to do. So last night, I'm falling asleep, and I couldn't sleep. I was up, tossing and turning all night. I'm like, oh, what if this little thingy here doesn't work? By the way, it stopped working, or it started crunching, which is kind of interesting. But I was like, oh, well, maybe that doesn't work. Tommy and Isaac and Andrew are gone, so what if we can't do the song right, or what if we can't get the soundboard and the tech working, even though Bruce is a super intelligent guy? I didn't think about that, right? I'm like, what if this all goes wrong? What if I can't deliver this? What if they laugh and point and throw tomatoes at me? I'm just kidding. But I'm like, what if this? And I woke up this morning thinking all that, because I woke up like sweating, which was really weird. I sweat a lot, but I don't wake up sweating. So I woke up and I'm like, why am I, like, and I remembered all these dreams. So the first time I'm like, wait a second, I can sleep through anything. And for some reason last night, I couldn't sleep. Number two, I never remember my dreams. I never do. But last night I did. And it was all about the negative stuff that was going to go wrong with I was about to say session, but this is like a service. There we go, service. This service today, I was thinking of everything that could go wrong. And then as soon as I did it, I'm like, this is just kind of irony, right? And I'm just like, stop. It's going to work out. And then I was like, what if I get up here and I do it right? Isn't that crazy? So it was funny. This morning, I literally had to catch myself. I had to say, you know what? It's all going to work out. God's greater than this. And it's not it's all going to work out. It's not in my control. And then I had to say, well, what if everything goes according to planned? Pretty crazy. And for the most part, as of right now, it has. So these are the 3 steps that I like to follow and that I would encourage you guys to follow. These are the 3 steps that I would say to living more and worrying less. Let's have some prayer. Father God, I pray for all the worry, all the anxiety, the people that are currently experiencing this right now in this room, God. I just pray that you move in their lives to do what they're supposed to do, what you've called them to do. And even if something is scary or it's uncomfortable and you don't want to do it, God, I just pray that you push them to do it if that's what you have for them. God, I just pray even for this whole church as a body, God, that your hand is over it, that you protect us, God, that you show us what your will is, what your plan is for us. And Jesus, I just speak against any kind of anxiety and negativity in our lives, God. I just pray that we can encourage each other and motivate each other, build each other up so that we become a stronger body, a stronger family. And God, I just pray for all the relationships and all the financial troubles and all the kid challenges and the car problems and all the other little things that come up, God. I just pray that you show us what is in store for us and help us think in a way that is different than the norm, because the norm is negative. And God, I just pray that you work through us and you show us what you want for our lives. God, I just pray for everybody in this room, that you bless them and their families. I say this in Jesus' name, amen.